speaking of our favorite man, Mr. Trump, again, when the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times are singing the same tune, they're probably onto something. I'm sure you're familiar with his latest tirade where he went after Mitch McConnell, which I think is kind of funny because we're less than 5 weeks out from a crucial midterm election. So you think he'd want to support somebody who would be the majority leader. And then he called his wife, what did he call her? Coco Chow, which of course is a despicable racial slur. And of course, the only thing that she did that was so wrong was she resigned after his disgraceful behavior on September 6th, just like he went after Brian Kemp because he had the temerity to certify the election. I love these people are just doing their jobs, but my question to you is, given all this, and again, if Trump really cared, wouldn't he be going down and helping Florida? Wouldn't he be trying to campaign for the candidates? But he just cares about himself. So are you finally ready to say there's no such thing as rock bottom with Donald Trump, as enough is enough, and he's not qualified to be the nominee in 24?
I don't know what you're talking about as far as not helping the candidates, because I literally get emails from his office almost every day now about the campaigning he's doing. So my friend is working with Adam Laxalt's campaign out in Nevada.
No, but
he's flying out to Nevada. He's going to do a campaign there. He's going to New Mexico. He's going
as usual, when you don't want to
Michigan.
answer the question, you divert. I don't want to argue about
No,
the specifics.
I brought up you brought up
yes
the
or
topic
no.
of whether or not he's helping.
I mean, that's a minor thing. Even if I concede that point, all the other stuff. Why isn't he down helping people in Florida, his own adopted state? His adopted state. He only cares about himself. My favorite question for you, which you've never been able to answer because there is no answer, is give me one example where Donald Trump put the country before himself. I mean, you've given me all this horse crap about how he cares about the working class and he's doing all this stuff for the country, which we both know is total fertilizer. But, there's not one example where he put the country first. So do you finally admit he's not qualified to be the nominee in 24?
No. And the thing is, if he were to do what you said in Florida, you would say he's trying to make it all about him. You would say he's trying to steal DeSantis' shine. It doesn't matter what he does.
Try.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's not just you.
I give Trump credit for what he's done, by the way. So that's totally unfair. I've given him credit on things like Operation Warp Speed.
The liberal media.
I give Trump a lot of credit.
If he walked on water, the liberal media would say that he's trying to destroy the environment. This is what you do whenever you don't want to
answer a question.
No, look, we've already talked about this.
So the answer is, even despite all this, you would still support Trump in 24.
I'm saying I support who is the nominee of the Republican Party. If it's Trump,
all right, no, but that wasn't what I asked. But don't you think that he shouldn't be the nominee now, at least? Wouldn't you rather see someone else? Can you at least say that?
I am not going to say that. No, I'm not, because I don't think it's true. Because,
so
there was a really interesting op-ed in the Wall Street. I'm not going to pick a horse in this fight. I am going to pick whoever is the nominee. That is who I will support. But as far as him and why I think people have this durable affection for him in the GOP, is that I forget who wrote it, but it was a great Wall Street Journal op-ed, and they said it's sort of like what Abraham Lincoln with Ulysses S. Grant. People wanted to kick out General Grant because he was prickly, and he said he fights, and that's why he kept him. He kept him in, and he won. And I think that's why people love Trump. And as a Latino supporter said the other day,
you've had some analogies with stretch. That one is really pushing it.
Hey, I'm giving credit to someone else. I think it was a great analogy. But I heard this great Latino
Grant was actually competent.
Who said that Trump is a luchador. This is why we're seeing, and we've talked about this, a 20-point swing toward Republicans in the last 10 years because they like Trump. They like that he's a fighter. They like that he goes to the mat. To him, he's standing up for the border because they did it the right way. They came through and did the system the way, and yes, the system needs reform. I agree. There's a lot of areas of the immigration systems that are messed up. But people who come here legally appreciate someone who is finally willing to defend the system.
Well, again, I love when you say defend the system. I think break down the system is more what happened. But the bottom line is, having someone who's a fighter is one thing, but it just gets to a certain point, and this is the same thing with the candidates, where there is just no such thing as rock bottom. And yes, I agree. To a certain point, you should pay attention to qualification. To a certain point, you should pay attention to how liberal or conservative someone is. But when you get to a point where it's not just a total lack of competence or experience, but it's a total lack of morality, and someone is going out and saying things that are so incredibly damaging, not just to the party, but to our political system, then you have to say, okay, enough is enough. And that's not, it's like all these spineless Republicans who won't even criticize the tirade against McConnell, and it just seems like, even you want to join these invertebrates somehow, and you won't even say, oh, I won't criticize him, he's a fighter. There are a lot of people that are fighters, but he's destroying our system, and no one is willing to say that, and no one is willing to even express a concern, because everyone is all they care about is their own hides. And it just is really sad. And it's probably the main reason right now that our politics have become so ruinous. Look at politics before Donald Trump and look at politics now. And that's an irrefutable answer. Unfortunately.
I can refute it, but we can leave it there if you want.
Okay. Well, another great session. Always spirited conversation, Carrie, but I so enjoy it because it's always respectful and our affection for each other remains unbound. So that does it, folks, for another episode of Practically Political. Thanks so much for joining us.